All right. Hey, everybody, live. You know, I'm going to speak about melanoma, but if you want to know why medicine is always at the cutting edge, always has problems, some of you probably read this week about a cruise that was from South America to Antarctica, I believe, where patients got really sick and had hantavirus, which is like from rodents. And now it's coming across my computer. Woman in Spain suspected of contracting hantavirus was on cruise ship victim's flight. Oh my God. So now, usually it's through secretions. And so, that's why nobody wanted to let people off the ship in their country because they're afraid of spreading things. But now people who are quote unquote well got off, and all of a sudden this lady who wasn't even on the cruise got hantavirus, but she was flying next to someone who was on the cruise. What a nightmare. So pay attention what happens. Nature has a way of always coming back to kind of bite us. Anyway, melanoma, what can I say? We see lots of cases of melanoma. Melanoma is on the rise. The good thing is chemotherapy, immunotherapy, and the like have made melanoma, which was 100% fatal, typically a high percentage of cure, and it's one of the real medical miracles, particularly immunotherapy, which is really the poster child. You remember that famous biker who had melanoma, right? His whole lung was filled with tumor, and then he got therapy and did well. But anyway, so what do we do with melanoma? So we often stage melanoma. So what are we looking for? The chest. We look for pulmonary nodules. We look for mediastinal adenopathy. You can see involvement of the pericardium and pericardial involvement. You can see tumor in the chambers of the heart. If I have to say what disease melanoma looks like, I would say lymphoma. When we do quizzes, sometimes we say, okay, this case, we describe it, could be lymphoma, but you got to think about melanoma, and sometimes you're right. When you look at the stomach, melanoma not that commonly involves it, but can be masses. When you look at the pancreas, we've seen masses in the pancreas. We see masses in small bowel. They can be ulcerating, look like an adenocarcinoma. They can be single or multiple. Melanoma is one of the things that causes intussusceptions. They could be in the mesentery and bowel, or mesentery alone. They can be bulky in the mesentery. You can see mediastinal nodes or paraortic nodes or pelvic nodes. All of them are distinct possibilities. You can see lesions in the liver or spleen. They're usually low density, can be cystic. You can see melanoma involve the adrenal, unilateral, or bilateral. And so that's another place you can see melanoma. Melanoma in small bowel and even large bowel, or a combination of large and small bowel, can cause intussusceptions. And so when you see intussusceptions in an adult, you always have to worry about an underlying tumor. And one of the things you'll mention is melanoma. You'll also mention things like benign tumors, lipomas, leiomyomas. You'll mention small bowel cyst tumors. You'll mention adenocarcinoma. You'll mention lymphoma. But you better be thinking about melanoma as well. Melanoma adenopathy, I mentioned neck, chest, abdomen, pelvis are all possibilities. You can get bone lesions. They can be lytic. They can be blastic. They can be associated with large soft tissue masses, particularly in the paraspinal regions. Again, think about how you might suspect lymphoma is going to look at melanoma as a lot like it. I mentioned the lungs can be solitary or multiple nodules. Nodules can be cavitary. Melanoma is one of the things that can be cavitary, whether it's in the lungs or the adrenal. The Mets can be cystic, so that can be somewhat helpful. Melanoma can also go to muscle. It could go to bone. When it goes to muscle, it can be solitary or multiple. It can be small. It can be large. When it goes to muscle, you could see it infiltrating discrete mass, multiple masses. And you see, as I'm speaking about chest and liver and spleen and bowel and retroperitoneum and nodes and bone, what I'm saying is every time, can be single, can be multiple, can be bulky, can be not bulky, looks like lymphoma, because everything I'm describing I could probably describe for you with lymphoma. Can be metastatic to the adrenals. I think adrenals are more common with melanoma than they are with lymphoma. We talk about primary lymphoma with large masses. Melanoma is one of the tumors that can give you very large masses in the adrenal glands as mets. Again, you also would consider the possibility of not only melanoma but lymphoma. Now, lymphoma usually when it involves the adrenal, you have multiple sites of disease. It can be very bulky, can be unilateral or bilateral. Primary lymphoma is usually bilateral, and it's very large masses, and you may see only adrenal involvement and nothing else. Again, when you study when you study melanoma, make sure you keep looking, because there's so many organs involved that you may not catch all of it, because we all know that when you're looking at things, sometimes you get too busy looking and you see so much disease you forget to keep looking. So look at small bowel, look for intussusception, look for mass, look for ulcerations, look for something in the mesentery, look for small bowel and large bowel, look in the pelvis. That all becomes very critical. Chest, look at the nodes, look at the airways. You can give lesions in the airway. Look at the adenopathy, periodic regions, mesentery, and the like. Again, muscle mets, bone mets are uncommon but do occur. So I've gone through a range of things on melanoma, making it very clear it's a great mimicker of lymphoma and vice versa. There are many different organs and organ involvement, and it's important to remember when you do the studies, and again, single phase usually is good. On the first study, dual phase might be better for the liver, but you're typically going to do IV and water as an oral contrast. Look very carefully at the extent of disease, the size of disease, look for complications, and I think you will do a great job. And with that, have a great week. See you soon.